Hi, church family. Cecil Sanders with you here on Wednesday of Holy Week. We're continuing to look at our theme of Fix Our Eyes on Jesus, looking at it from Luke's perspective as he records the final week in Jesus' life. On Monday, we looked at Jesus cleansing the temple, and yesterday, Tuesday, we saw him living a perfect life. Today, our focus is seeing Jesus doing his Father's will. We think about him in the Garden of Gethsemane today. You remember he's there with his disciples. He asks them to watch and pray, and he goes about a stone's throw away and he begins to pour out his heart to his Father. And he says in Luke chapter 22, verse 42, "Father, if you're willing, remove this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Jesus came to do his Father's will. In fact, speaking of Jesus in the Old Testament, the psalmist David records in Psalm 40, "I delight to do your will, O God." Jesus came to do his Father's will and put his Father's will above his own. Not what I will, but what you will, Father. Some of you may know that my dad is a beekeeper. He enjoys working with these fascinating little creatures, and he hopes that at the end of every summer they'll produce for him some delicious honey. Along about August, he'll give me a call usually and ask me to come help him in the harvesting process. And as you know, in August it's hot and humid, and you have to wear long sleeves and long pants, and you go down there and you take the supers off the hives and you bring the frames inside into what Dad calls his honey room. The honey room is sealed tight. The windows are sealed, the doors are sealed, there's no air conditioning, and you can just imagine what that's like on a late August day. The process is quite involved. You have to take a hot electric knife and cut off the caps of the frames, and then you put the frames into an extractor that spins and spins the honey out, and then you filter it about 3 times to get it in its purest form. Well, in that process, the conditions are awful. You sweat terribly, you don't smell too nice, and you get beeswax all over your hands and under your fingernails, and you're sticky with honey. And if it was just about the conditions, you'd say, "This is terrible, this is miserable." But I want to tell you, church family, when I'm doing that with my dad, it's not miserable at all for me. You want to know why? Because I delight to do his will. This is his project. This is something that he wants done. And because I delight in him, and he delights in me, it is delightful doing his will. I think about Jesus early in his life at age 12 when he went to the temple and he was visiting with the religious leaders, and his parents had already been gone a day, and they hustled back, found that he was missing, and they came back to Jerusalem and said, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your dad and I have been anxiously looking for you." And Jesus responded to his mother. He says, "Why are you so anxious? Didn't you know I had to be about the business of my Father?" You see, Jesus was always putting his Father's will above his own. It's not about me and my will, it's about my Father's will. And I delight to do my Father's will because I delight in him. So on this Wednesday of Holy Week, as we think about Jesus doing his Father's will, let's worship him today, church family. In a moment when the video ends, you might just want to take a moment and worship Jesus for his beautiful relationship with his Father, his love relationship with his Father. So much, he loved his Father so much and delighted so much in that relationship that he gladly did his Father's will and put his Father's will above his own. Ponder that a little bit, pray about that, worship Jesus for doing his Father's will. Thank you, church family.